how to become the best versions of yourself. Because manhood is exceptionally hard and life is hard. But how you shape yourself will determine how hard it is for you and how miserable it will be. I've said this many times in many different iterations on different podcasts, but I want to repeat it again. As a man, there is no easy life. If you're looking for an easy life, you should have been a girl. You made a mistake.
Yep.
Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse.
Yeah, it's crazy to sometimes think like, what can happen if we decide, I'm going to see what happens when I decide that I am qualified. What happens when I decide for myself that I'm going to do something different? And I have been finding myself more motivated, even when I do not feel like doing something, to do it. That my brain doesn't dictate how. My brain does not get to choose. My brain can feel a certain way, but it's not going to choose how I behave all the time. I just can't let it do it anymore. I'm going to have setbacks, I know. But if I'm feeling bad, that doesn't mean I'm doing bad. That doesn't mean I am bad. That doesn't mean that I can't still take some action. Because, yeah, nothing changes and nothing changes, man. You know, we'll sit around forever wondering, well, what if I was a dog catcher? Would I be the best? What if I was what if I worked on a avalanche, searching for avalanches and predicting them, until you say, yeah, I'm gonna take action. Nothing changes if nothing changes, man. And I'm not preaching at you. I'm just I just want to remind you, because I've spent a lot of time in my life sitting around wanting things to change, and not being able to make them change, and not thinking I could. That in order for something to change, there needs to be change.
You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You're not at work at the time. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. Mm-hmm. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer to become a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. Absolutely. Glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever. And when he says fleeting, that's a really good point, because everything in life is rented, especially your glory as a man. When you have a good body, it is not a good body as complete. It's not finished. You haven't completed the task. You have rented that good physical condition. You must train every day to retain it. So everything is rented. Your body, you don't just get a good body and you're done. You still have to go to the gym every day to maintain that good body. You don't just get a hot girl and it's done. You still have to work hard for her to always love you and respect you. You don't just start a business and now you're rich. No, you have to start a business and work on that business every day. If you take your eye off the business, it will fail. Everything in life is rented. So when he says glory is fleeting, he's also absolutely not correct, because glory is fleeting and you have to constantly and endlessly work for it and make sure that you never stop. Otherwise, it will be taken from you. But obscurity is forever. If you never make a mark on the world, then you effectively never existed.
Progress equals happiness. If you keep growing, you're going to feel alive. And if you keep growing, you're going to have more to give. And when you're growing and giving is when life is magnificent. It doesn't matter how many statues, Oscars they give you, or Emmys, or how much money you have in the bank. We've all seen people have all those things, and I get the phone call because they're depressed or somebody commits suicide in that area. So it's really an inner game, and I think that's what's missing for us today. Everybody's focusing on the outside world, and how there's a lot of things in the outside world you'll never be able to control. You can influence, but you can't control it. This, your mind, your emotions, your body, you have 100% control over what you do with these things, and that's where the game is won. You win the inner game, then you win the outer game. But a lot of people spent their life trying to win the outer game, they won, and they're miserable. So to me, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And so many people are focused on success still, which to me is like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like success is getting what you want. Fulfillment is living what you're made for. You know, and it's like fulfillment and success, they're not even the same universe. And there's nothing wrong with going for success, but you really got to figure out what you're made for. And nobody knows in the beginning. So you start where you are and you do what's in front of you. You do what's next. And you keep growing until you start to discover, hey, this is my real passion. This is my real hunger and drive. And it can change. People go for 5, 6, 7 years and then they usually question their business, their career, their body, their relationships. And then one of two things happens. They change direction and feel renewed, or they go, no, I got a great deal here. What the hell's wrong with me? And they recommit and they get stronger. But that's life. And if you don't grow, I don't give a damn how much you got going for you, you're going to be miserable.
Individual choices and mistakes, yeah, but ultimately you learn from those. So like, no, because like even the regrets, the bad things or the stupid things, you learn not to do bad things or stupid things. You know, all those things are beneficial in some way if you can get through them. You know, if you like did something that resulted in someone's death or something horrible like that, yeah, it'd be a terrible regret. But I've been very fortunate that hasn't happened. But the dumb shit that I've done or the bad mistakes that I've made, they've taught me. You know, you learn. Like, that's why failure is so important. Like, failing and fucking up and making mistakes, it's very important. That's how you learn. That's how the bad feeling that you get from something that you shouldn't have done or wish you didn't do or wish you did better. Like, especially failing at something where you half-assed it and you just feel like a fucking loser. Like, that just teaches you. It teaches you to get your shit together. It's dangerous to dwell on past mistakes because people sort of define themselves by the worst moments that they've ever had. And if that's the case, like some people are stuck in high school. You know, they're stuck in failures that they had like when they were first getting jobs, and they always think that they're a loser, and they don't like the feeling of failure, so they keep low expectations so that they never have to feel that. You got to get through it. You got to get through bad feelings. You got to get through failure. It's very important, and you get through it by just picking yourself back up and moving forward and going. But it's hard for a lot of people because that sting, they never get over it, the feeling of failure, and they don't have a good support system, like good friends. Like having a good community of friends is very, very important, because you could feel like down, like if a girl broke up with you and you feel like you're the worst, you're a fucking loser, like you're a piece of shit. But then you go out with your friends and you have a few laughs, and next thing you know, you're laughing and you're like, I'm all right. We'll be all right.
If you were to ask any boy, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, where do you want to be when you're 25, 30? Where do you want to be? They're going to say, big house, fast car, beautiful wife. That's what they're going to say. Every single one. And slowly, the programming of the Matrix beats this dream out of men. Well, I will tell you a story about me. I don't know, probably not old enough, but there was a game called, before Fortnite, before it all existed, the huge game when I was in my late teens, early 20s was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So I used to play that game. And this is the advice. The advice is hang around with people who see things, people who have a good mindset. I was with my brother, and I was like, oh, Andrew, I just completed this round. It's 41 kills, 1 death. That's pretty cool. Andrew looks at me from the couch. I swear to God, looks over at me and goes, yeah, Tristan, but it doesn't matter, does it? And I'm like, fuck, it doesn't matter, does it? And I turned that game off. And I don't think I've ever spent more than 10 minutes playing a video game ever since that day. So hang around better people. You know, if you're wasting your life, if you're wasting your talent, leave that group of friends. Cut low quality people out of your life. And slowly, as you go out into the world and apply yourself at different things that are more useful, you'll probably find out that you're not as useless as you think.
That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever fucking be? How can I feel depression when I could squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible.